Welcome to the Live Sports in New Mexico show. My name is Chris, and I'm here with my co-host Brian. We took a little bit of time off, but we're back for the summer. We're back getting at it, and a few things going on. Obviously the big talk is Warriors and Cavs going on right now. Warriors are up 2-0, and they're blowing them out.
They are. This could be done quickly.
Right.
Could be done quickly.
Well, that's the talk. I mean, especially the first game, you watch people talk about it like, oh, the Warriors are so good, they're so great. But then last year, when we saw it, the Cavs eventually took it.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, I don't know, especially with the addition of KD, what do you think? Does Cleveland even have a chance?
I bet Cleveland will win one, maybe two. But again, like you said, you had a Kevin Durant. You got a Steph Curry who's just hard to stop. It's almost over before it started, Chris.
Yeah. And it's not even like a little addition. That Kevin Durant is arguably one of the best players.
Yeah, was he not MVP?
Right, scoring champion.
Years back.
And so when you add that, that's crazy. And that's what we were talking before the show. We're talking about these super teams now. So for the last 3 years, we see Warriors and Cavs. Yeah. What do you think that does for the league?
I think it's got to hurt the league because people are sick and tired of seeing the same two teams in the championship again and again and again. I mean, where are the Mavericks at? Come on, Dallas. But so what do you think, Chris? What are the pros? What are the cons of the super team?
Well, when I think about it just kind of as a competitor, if I see someone that's at the top and they're always there, as a competitor, I'm tired of it too. So I'm wondering if the players in the locker room for like the Celtics, the Lakers, those guys go way back, the Bulls, all those guys, are they like, what? We need to get better because we're tired of seeing these teams. We're tired of getting bullied by these teams. Are we going to get better? So we don't know are we going to see Warriors and Cavs for the next 5 years? But it'll be interesting, definitely interesting to see how it pans out for the league.
Or is this just a new age dynasty? It's just kind of the same cycle repeating. We saw the Bulls go through it, the Celtics before that. Even in football, you have the Patriots now, and in the 90s you had the Dallas Cowboys. So. There's always seems to be a team, but is there something to the super teams that really seem to stack the deck?
Right. So. Yeah, because we saw with the Spurs, we saw it, and we're seeing that with the Patriots. So, I think eventually it'll wear out. So we'll definitely see about that. Also, talking a little bit more basketball stuff. Legacy Academy. We are running a basketball camp in July. It'll be July 10th through the 13th for our kindergarten through 5th graders. And then 6th grade through 12th, July 17th through the 20th. And last year, it was great. We're looking to make it better this year. We're actually adding one of my former teammates, really good friend of mine, most winningest Lobo, Jamal Fenton. He was one of the funniest teammates I had. Hopefully we'll get him on the show one time, but entertaining, energetic. I think he's going to bring a different dynamic to our camp.
Yeah, and if you're a student athlete or a parent of one, definitely recommend that you get signed up for this camp. It's going to be an incredible experience. Not only do you learn basketball skills, but some life skills. I think at the end of the day, you'll be a better person than when you first started. And we got some exciting things going on around Legacy Academy with the addition of the brand new mascot, the Silverbacks. And so we're excited about all this happening, all that God is doing around Legacy Church and Legacy Academy. It's a big summer, and we got a lot of things going on. I encourage you to hop on to legacychurch.com to see how you can get involved with all that's going on.
Yeah, and I'm already wearing the colors. Our new colors are blue and black. There you go. And so, well, my rival in high school was blue and black, but I've always liked that kind of combination. I was a red and black guy, so it's going to be kind of different wearing blue and black. But yeah, like you said, great things are happening there. You'll get a camp shirt, a basketball. You'll get a coach's evaluation. We'll do some NBA combine testing to test your athleticism. So I think that's really going to be something that you would want to experience over at our East Campus. But today's topic for our show is making our faith our own. And I think that's really huge today, especially with our youth, is they kind of look to their parents or a celebrity or whatever it is. They're like, they look to them instead of like, let me see for myself what is true and what is not true.
Right. It's got to be personal. It's got to be personal. Your grandma, your grandpa's not going to get you to heaven. Your mom or your dad, they're not going to get you to heaven. It's you and your relationship with Jesus that's going to get you to heaven. And so we've got to make it personal. We got to make it our own. And that's what God wants. God wants a personal relationship with with us. And so we have to make it personal. We have to take personal responsibility. So we're going to talk about that. We got a special guest. I'm really excited to have him. Justin Hames from Atlanta via Tennessee is here with us today. So we're excited to have him on next. So make sure you stick around, hang with us all day. It's going to be a great show. And of course, if you ever need anything at all, if you have questions or prayer requests, hit us up on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We would be happy to help connect with you. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd even shout you out on the show or answer your questions here on the show as well. So thanks again for being with us today, and we'll see you back here in just a little bit.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Welcome back to the Live Sports in New Mexico show. Today we are talking about making our faith our own, and so that's like we talked about. It's really important. Before we were talking in between breaks, and we were thinking, you know, when it's somebody else's faith, I think that's when someone else can control it. So say if it is your parents, and then your parents could badmouth the church, or they're badmouthing God, or whatever it is, then you look at them and then you say, you know what, maybe God isn't real, or maybe God isn't on our side. And so I think when you don't look for it for yourself, I think that's when you could really get in trouble, because if your parents or whoever it is, maybe a friend, maybe even a celebrity, you know, you always look up to, and they go a different way, then it's all of a sudden like, well, what do I do now when it's not your own?
Right, right. And you see that a lot of times in church or in homes. You see young people that maybe are raised in church, they say they believe in God, yet here they are doing their own thing, living their own life. It's like, what happened? Like, what happened to them? I thought they were doing so well, and then they struggle. And I heard this, and I think it's so true. Rules without a relationship equal rebellion. So you could put all kinds of rules, or you could have religious rules on someone, but at the end of the day, if there's no personal relationship, with God or with you, then there's going to be rebellion. It's not going to last. It's not going to be impactful like you want it to be. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of young people that grow up following rules or pretending to play the religious game, but they don't have their own relationship, and that's what's hurting them in the end.
Right. And I think there's like a stat out there that's like 3/4 of Christians, when they leave high school to college, they end up, walking away from God. So that's the tough part. I even see it in athletics, especially like you talked about the relationship. I have certain guidelines I run for my programs and my teams, but if I don't care for them personally, I think that's when they could be rebellious and like, well, I'm not going to play hard for you or whatever. I always make sure I talk to my players, see what's going on, make sure I'm having a good relationship with them, because I think that's so important, because then they play hard for you. They're like, man, I know that coach cares. And then we also see it like even as an athlete, some of the athletes just look to their coaches as like their source of faith. Like if their coach doesn't like them, then all of a sudden they're a bad player. They're not good enough, no matter how hard they work. But I remember telling players and telling myself this, that God sees everything. I mean, I can't stand it when athletes they're in the gym by themselves, they're working out, and then they go on Snapchat or Instagram and post it. I was like, why do you need people to see, your extra work? Just, work in silence, work, get better. God's got to see that. Then and after that, when the lights come on and the crowd's getting loud, then they're going to see your hard work out there. So that's what I'm hoping that athletes understand, is that you don't have to show everybody what you're doing. Have faith that God is watching you when you're working. Yeah.
And speaking of that, our special guest who will be up with us next has a great story and some of his athletic stories playing at Morgan State, and so excited to hear from him and hear about some of that. And another thing with in a spiritual sense in this is that I think, especially in young people today, we see identities being attacked. And I really believe it's a work of the enemy. It's a work of the devil, and who is attacking identities. Right. He's causing confusion, and so many people today, guys and girls, don't know who they really are. And they're confused, and they're busy, and they're distracted, and there's so much going on, so many voices in their lives, and I believe God is saying, like, you're never going to know who you are until you know whose you are, and understanding that they do belong to God. They're a child of God, and when they understand that and make that personal, that's when it's all going to change. That's when the light bulb is going to come on, and they'll experience the blessings and the happiness and the joy and the strength and the power that God intends for us at the end of it all.
Right, and I even think about that too. There are different voices out there, especially with mainstream media and celebrities are saying this, you should believe this, or you should believe that, and you kind of get in the sense like, well, I want to be like them, or I want to be like this, or I want to have my own way of thinking. But in reality, everyone else is kind of thinking that way. So I think when you're kind of thinking like the world thinks, then you're actually following something still. People kind of say like, oh, I'm just going to be myself. Well, I think that's really hard to do. I think, when people are trying to find their purpose in something else or in somebody else other than God, that's when they could really get in trouble. So I think it's really important that our faith is our own, because then the way God has designed it for us is that when we read the Bible, we have our own thoughts. God puts these thoughts in our mind that only we could think about. And then it's for us, it's whatever situation we're going through, because I've realized I could read, a chapter one year, and then I read the chapter next year, and it's going to be a totally different interpretation. Yeah. So I think that's the only way God can really speak to us and can really help us, is even though that word doesn't change, it does transform us, But the thing is, what's crazy is the world changes. There's so many trends. There's so many things like, oh, well, this is cool today, and this is cool, tomorrow. And then, but that changes. So your standards would eventually change.
And I heard this. I thought it was so good that the voices in your life determine the choices in your life. And I know for me, being surrounded by friends in high school and college, I didn't always make the right choices.
Right.
And it's because of who I surrounded myself with. And it wasn't until I really got plugged in with God and some different people and different, I was more intentional about the voices in my life, who I was letting speak into my life, who was around me, who was influencing me. That's when the choices began to change and my life got better.
Right.
And the same can happen for us, but we have to make those intentional decisions.
Yeah, and the funny thing is we there's a lot of people that look to celebrities or whatever, but there's nothing really in common, because for the most part, a lot of us are not as rich as them or not as famous as them, but yet we kind of like try to follow their ways. And so, but I've always been really careful of like who I follow, because there are famous people that do a lot of good things, and that's why they're famous, because they say and do a lot of good things. And I think that's how God speaks to us.
Yeah.
I mean, God, it's not going to be his loud voice coming down, on us. He's going to use people around us, but we have to make sure, we know who it is. Because I remember growing up, if I heard my mom call my name, I knew it was her. And if I said mom, she would know. She just knew my voice.
Yeah.
Same thing on the phone. You know who's. You don't have to see the caller ID, but that's what how we have to treat God.
Right.
We have to say, God, you know what? That's you. And maybe there is somebody in your life. Maybe it could be parents. It could be, whoever it is. Like, you know what? That's just. I don't think that's right. Let me go look for myself. My faith is not based on what they say. If they speak something well in my life, then I could see if it's true or not. But the same thing goes for if they're speaking something that, man, it just doesn't sound right. Let's get to the word. Let's figure it out. Let's see if it's true or not.
So let's talk, Chris, as we wrap up this section of our show. What are some ways practically we can make our relationship with God personal?
Well, I think
what can we do?
If you grow up like with your parents that constantly go to church, and you go because your parents go, but maybe one time, maybe your parents are out of town, are you still going to church, or are you not going because your parents are not going? I even see this in relationships too. You go to church for your boyfriend or girlfriend, but if they don't go, are you going too? So I think that's when we have to really understand and recognize, all right, church is, going to church is a consistent thing. Something that I have to continue to go to. I remember I wouldn't go to church if my friends didn't go. Even with working out, there's one time when I was working out, like I would text my friends like, hey, let's go work out. If no one went, I was like, okay, then I'm not going. But then I finally made a decision, say, you know what, no matter what, church is not really about the social part. It's really about me and God, and I'm trying to listen to what the pastor has to say and how he's speaking to me. And same thing with working out. I was like, hey, I could still do stuff on my own. I don't need other people to do it. So I think that's how we have to kind of get rid of that noise, or get rid of those things. Like, you don't go to church because of somebody else or something else or circumstance. You could find a way
make
to
it
get
personal.
there. Right.
Got to make it personal. Yeah, it's good. And I agree. I think church is huge. Church is a great place to start, because that's where we learn. That's when we hear from God. So I think church is a great thing. We want to make it personal. We've got to be in church. Of course, we recommend Legacy Church. What else can we do to make it personal for us?
Well, I think also, we can consistently go to church, and then we could go in and out. That's how I was too. I was in and out. I would walk into the church, out. I got the word, but then I started thinking, like, how else can I just apply this word? What else can I do? And I really started to personally think, God has given me this just love and obsession of the game of basketball. I love it. I love being around it. So when I think about what God has done in my life, He's given me this love and passion to where I could use it for other people. Where awesome. So now I'm coaching. I'm always in the gym with these kids, and even the parents like, man, you're dedicated. I just love this game. I love what it does for people. I love what it did for me. So I think whatever it is, I think God puts a certain passion and love in our hearts. And so I think that's what we just need to think about. Maybe it's football. Maybe it's you really want to be a doctor or a lawyer. Whatever it is, you just know you have to use that passion, and that's how we serve in our community is through our passion.
That's great. So to make it personal, we want to be in church, be connected to God's house, and then we want to use what God has given us to serve other people. Use the gifts and the passions to serve other people, to help other people, just like Chris does, and he talked about. That was awesome. So let's make our faith personal. Stick around. We'll be right back with our special guest, Justin Hames. You don't want to miss it.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutz Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Hoops New Mexico basketball courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
Don't forget, every Proview Network sporting event is on sale at our DVD store. Go to www.proviewNetworks.com to buy your DVD today.
All right, welcome back to the Live Sports in New Mexico show. Today we're talking about making our faith our own, and we share some key thoughts. So we also, today though, we have a guest named Justin Hames. He's from Atlanta, Georgia?
Yeah.
That's right?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, I want to know, what do you think, what's the biggest difference from Atlanta, Georgia to Albuquerque, New Mexico?
The biggest difference for me probably is when I first step outside, it's just so bright. It's bright.
It is.
Yeah, it's bright. But it's great here. You know, so far the people have been amazing. You know, they've been real welcoming to me. And I love the weather. Yeah, the weather's nice.
It's not humid or muggy.
Yeah,
nice.
Well, I'm from the other coast. I'm from Southern California, and I came here, and I think that's well, the difference was weather, and the sun's bright. I mean, it's like right there because you know we're higher altitude and all that. But you know, it's colder. It's colder here. Is Atlanta's? Well, you've only been here in the summer, right?
Yeah.
No, so you'll have to see how the winter is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because this weather's it gets kind of crazy.
Weather.
It was raining one day. It's sunny the next. So
it's got to make up its mind.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I got a question for you, Justin. I want to know what you think about the green chili.
The green chili.
What do you think about the green and the red chili? I know you had a little bit the other day.
The green and the red chili. It's very good. It's very good, but in a couple of hours, you're really gonna feel it. Yeah,
especially if you're not used to it.
Yeah, you're really gonna feel it. Yeah.
Okay, I think I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Well, Justin, I know you have an athletic background. You played some football yourself. And of course, this is life sports. We say that life is a sport that God wants you to win. And I know you kind of have a story of your walk with God that's kind of been up and down and back up again. And so if you would, just kind of help us get to know a little bit about who you are and how you got to where you are now.
Okay. Well, pretty much, I played football my whole life. In high school, we'll jump to my senior season. In high school, my senior season, I was selected for the preseason All-State team. Finished off All-State, first team All-State. I had a couple of scholarships coming out, Georgia Southern, Morgan State, obviously, UTC, Tennessee Chattanooga, and a couple more schools, but I was led to Morgan State. And when I first got to Morgan State, it was a bit of a culture shock. Obviously, playing football in college is way different from high school, way different, completely different. And, I just had to adjust and make that change. But for me, my college football season ended for me after my sophomore season. I sprained my MCL. And my father passed away. And, it was just so much for me to be in Baltimore from Atlanta. So I decided to come back closer to home after that. But pretty much after I left football, God's been in my life, and he's really been molding me into the man who he wanted me to be. And I do believe that if I did not make that change for myself to walk with God, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Wow.
That's
Yeah, I remember
awesome.
for me, like that was, like I was taught, like basketball was sort of like my God. That was like some I spent so much time with. But then when my playing career ended, it was like, well, what's next? And that's immediately what I did was turn back to God, you know, just say, okay, what is next, you know? And I wanted to find out from Him. So, like as we're talking about making our faith our own, you know, with your father passing away, very tragic thing. How have you been able to do that? You know, really truly making your faith your own without, you know, having to see it in a father figure.
To really make my faith my own, the seed was always planted for me, but you know, I just went through so much after my dad passed. You know, from the drinking to, you know, really being out there.
Right.
I got tired of getting the same results, and I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I said, hey, God, this is me. I'm not perfect. I'm not where I want to be in life, but I know you're going to take me where I need to be. So,
Wow.
yeah, I just threw myself out there.
And I think that's great what you said, that you're not perfect. And even after we come to God, we're not perfect. I think there's an expectation. People think, oh, you got it all together. But really, we're not perfect.
Right.
But we're just forgiven. And that's the awesome thing about who God is and how He operates, that He continues, like you said, molding us into who He wants us to be. And, you know, we're not perfect. We're not better than anybody else. We're just better than we used to be. We're better than ourselves because we have God in our lives. And I think it's important to know, and it's why everyone really needs their own relationship with God.
Right. Because I think there's an accountability too with God. It's like you go through this correction process. You know, God kind of molds you, and he shows you, okay, that was wrong. Now this is right. You know, we're going to continue to make mistakes, and He's going to continue to show us better ways. So I really think that accountability part, you know, people. I think that's the reason why people don't make their faith their own, is because that's the part they don't want. I think that's where it's rough. They don't want their accountability. But yeah, you know, I think that's great. You know, that's something that's tough to do. You know, it's really tough when, you know, I see it with kids today. It's, you know, even for me, I'm like, what would I do without a father figure and idol and, you know, the people I look up to. So I think it's really cool that, you know, you're making it your own, and then you're able to be a leader out here in this community. So we're glad you're here in Albuquerque.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Now, I didn't prepare you for this, but we always like to give our special guests the rapid fire round. So Chris and I are going to ask you a couple questions. You got to answer as quick as you can.
All right.
Are you ready?
Get ready.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Friday Night Lights.
Okay. Favorite show?
Favorite show? My favorite show? The Get Down on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Get
Favorite
Down.
food?
Favorite food? My favorite wings.
Okay.
Wings.
Stay with food. Favorite restaurant now?
Favorite restaurant? My favorite restaurant is probably favorite restaurant? Dugan's in Atlanta. Best wings in Atlanta.
Okay. Hey, so
Best
we go to
wings
Atlanta.
in Atlanta.
Okay. Last question. I might know this already, but what is your favorite NFL team?
Favorite NFL team? The Atlanta Falcons.
And NBA team?
NBA team? The Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. Well, that's a weird one.
Yeah, went to Minnesota.
That's a weird one. That's a weird one. Well, Justin, man, great job. Thank you for being on the show with us today. We love you. We're proud of you. We know God has a great plan for your life. And so thanks for being here. And thank you for tuning in and watching. We're glad to be back. It's going to be a fantastic summer. Got guests lined up all summer long. It is going to be awesome. So stick with us. Check us out on YouTube as well. And like always, send us your questions on social media. We'd be happy to connect with you. We love you and can't wait to see you next week.